welcome to the channel. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Now, if you guys remember, a week or so ago, I did unbox 3 different Proxima watches. So I'm going to review this one for you guys today. Now, followers of the channel know that I absolutely love this MM300 Homage, especially from Proxima. I have reviewed their watches a fair few times, especially this particular model. They have made changes now and then. I think the last significant change that they made, they added 2 screws, one to the 12 and at the 6, which will allow you to take off this case. And then I think the concept was, them making different cases, which you could just purchase them and then insert your kind of main block. That hasn't really transpired the way they wanted it to. So with regards to this one, I'm not going to bore you to death with all the dimensions, etc., and the things that I've already spoken about with regards to this watch. So the only differences that you see on this model is a stainless steel bezel insert, a Jubilee style bracelet, and the use of a PT 5000 movement. Now, with regards to the movement, this one is currently running at -6 seconds a day with a 0 beat error. So it's good they have started using the PT 5000 movement. We now have a high beat MM300 Homage. Now, this particular model, as you guys know, it is homaging the SBDX001. I have had a few questions where people ask me this one or the San Martin. They both homage different kind of watches. So for people that want the SBDX001 Homage, Proxima is the best in its range. It does definitely beat the Heimdallr and the Steel Dive. It's built incredibly well, monoblock case construction, as you can see, and it is quite true to that particular version. If, however, you want something which is a little more wrist friendly, slightly more modernized, then I'd suggest you go for the San Martin version, because as you can see, the case is a lot thinner. It isn't monoblock. You do have a screw down case back, and it's got some features that are closer to the LX Marine Master features, like the crown and that bezel. So it's definitely looking at what you want as a customer. Both watches are great. So bringing it back to the Proxima, I'm just going to talk about the changes that they've made, any features that kind of stand out on this one. The first thing that definitely does stand out is this gorgeous dial. I absolutely love how they've come up with this dial. I love the quality behind it and the features that you see here. The dial is kind of a ocean blue fume style dial, and you can see this linear horizontal brushing, which gives this incredible light play and shading present. That dial is stunning. Now, as I already said, Proxima make a hell of a lot of versions out there, a lot of different color combinations, but now and then they come up with something just amazing. The shades, they go between like a teal to an aquamarine to a deep blue, and of course, as the dial does darken around towards the chapter ring, it gives you a very ocean-like appearance. Now I want to bring your attention closer to the handset used. Just take a closer look at the finishing, the different levels of finishing present. You've got linear brushing going through the center of both the hour and the minute hands. The sides are then chamfered and then highly polished to give you all these angles and surfaces where the light can reflect off beautifully. You've also got a polished seconds hand with that red and white and that long tip which extends towards the chapter ring. So really well finished. A lot of lume applied there. And talking about lume, we'll just check out how bright the lume is on this watch. You do have a mixture of C3 Luminova and BGW9 in the hands. I don't know how you guys feel about bi-color lume. In terms of the strength of the lume, we know Proxima has never let us down. Very thick markers, therefore means a lot of layers for the lume. The lume will burn really bright. It'll give you ample longevity. But if you want to have full C3, you could reach out and make sure you've got a single color lume available. The stainless steel bezel insert has been finished incredibly well. You've got some really sharp black markings, painted really well, filled nicely, and this brushing is super smooth. Also, the triangle at the 12 o'clock is subset into the bezel and the pip has been placed inside it. So there's great attention to detail, and I think this stainless steel insert on this blue background gives it a very tool-like appearance. Let's look at the bezel rotation. It is 120 click. Good resistance, very audible, positive feedback. However, we are just shy on alignment. Not by a lot, nothing major at all, but just slightly off. However, the chapter ring and the 12 o'clock marker on the dial do line up perfectly well. You can see the bezel is just slightly off. It's not a major, I think there is a little tolerance that is acceptable. Most of the watches that I have had do line up perfectly well, and some just don't. I think that's just the nature of it. Now, the case on the Proxima is also a really nice case. You've got a few different transitions. Going from the lugs, you've got this linear brushing present on the lugs, which then goes into a highly polished bevel edge, which curves all the way around the case. high mirror polish, and then switches back into this brushed profile along the side. Just look at the curvature, very nice. And this is where I've seen this exact same finishing on steel dives and Highland dialers, but Proxima definitely beats those. The transitions are just much cleaner, the brushing is just much nicer as well, and you can see those lines, very nice. And that of course goes back down into a mirror polish finish. The last thing we want to look at in terms of what's changed is this bracelet. Now, bracelet is nothing fantastic or nothing fancy. It doesn't feel superior in hand. I think it's the same bracelet that they used on, for example, the Thorn MM300 diver. And yeah, it's just a decent bracelet. Small links, it is held together by split pins. It doesn't have any sharpness. It has just a slight bit of edginess present along the top. Solid end links, which is good. You do also have drilled lugs, so you can change bracelets and straps on this watch. But yeah, it isn't anything super substantial. And on a thick, heavy watch like this as well, you do ideally want a thicker bracelet. So I think here Proxima should have spent more money, maybe a bit more R&D into looking at a totally different bracelet. Because the older one they had, you know, the links were really long and wide on there. But yeah, it's quite thin and flimsy in compared to the case. I don't think it suits the overall look and feel of the watch, and when you put this on wrist, it will be slightly off balanced. So here's the Proxima on my 6.5-inch wrist. Yeah, you've got male end links which do protrude on the wrist, but it is a 50mm lug to lug, so it isn't for the smaller wrists. However, a 6.5-inch wrist, I believe I can personally get away with it. I have worn mine plenty of times. You do have a 44mm diameter, as mentioned earlier on, 42mm bezel, so it does make it slightly smaller on wrist, but the case also slopes inwards, allowing it to fit just slightly smaller. Now, the biggest thing about the case, which a lot of people worry about, is the thickness. It is a 16mm thick case, but you know, that is in line with the watch it's homaging, so I wouldn't expect Proxima to make a thinner watch. Again, it's going after SBDX 001. Yeah, the bracelet for me doesn't do it at all. I think they really need to go back and really come up with something different. Just again, bringing the San Martin in. Just look at that taper, hexad style bracelet, chunky. It does suit the overall visual of this watch, and this is a beefy watch, and I think they need to do it justice now by giving it a different bracelet. Other than that, I can confirm I am happy with the changes they've made. Bezel insert, I love it. I love that dial. That dial is absolutely incredible, gorgeous, probably one of the nicer dials I've seen to date from Proxima. And the bracelet, I'm not too sure about, still 50-50 with the bracelet. PT5000, definitely a thumbs up. It's good to see a high beat M300 homage. So that's it for this review. If you do like what you see, please check out the description below. You'll find a link to the watch in there. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you on the next video.